Welcome to Spring 2026, question 1, part C and D. Let's jump right into it. Welcome to Spring 2026 final. Welcome to Spring 2026 final question 1, part C and D. Let's jump right into it. So for this one, we have almost summer, and we are assuming the following code has been executed. So we have this generator function here where we are yielding from S, and then we have it, which calls F on summer. So we pass in summer. And one thing that's important to note is that because we're yielding from S twice, and yielding from doesn't modify our input, we actually have two instances or two versions of summer that we can pull from. But first we'll start by depleting the first one, and then we'll move on to the second one. So first off, we're going to call next on it, and it starts by being pointed, let's see, it starts by being pointed here. And what I mean by that is that we're on this yield from call, and we haven't actually gotten any elements yet. So we're before the first S. Great. So we'll call next of it, which means it'll move here, and then next again, and then next again, and then next again. And then we're printing the next value. Remember that it now points here. So our next value will be E right here. So when we print the next value, it's E. And printing next still moves the pointer. So it will now be here. Great. And then it says, how many more times can next it be called after the print statement before the stop iteration exception is raised? So remember that stop iteration exceptions are raised if we try to go past what's allowed for us. So what that means is that it doesn't stop here, right? Because we have this whole other word. But the moment that we try to iterate again, when we're like at this point, is when it would error. So let's see how far we have until we get to that point. So we're right here right now. We call next once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the next time we called it after 7 is when it would error. So for this question, we can call it 7 more times before it's raised. If we called it an 8th time, if we called next an 8th time, then it would error. So 7 is our answer for that. And then we have part D, staying in touch. The contact class stores a name and email for an address book entry. 2 contacts can be merged into one by creating and returning a new contact instance that keeps the first contact's email, but combines names with and. Complete the following code to match the behavior of the doc tests. So it seems like we're going to have to read these doc tests and then choose our implementation based off those. So to start, we have Alice, which is a contact instance with name Alice and email, her email. And then we just put the name Alice in the interpreter, and then this is what pops out. So what that tells me is that if we just put Alice here, that means that we're calling like an implicit repr on it. Because remember, when we just have like the variable there, we're just like looking for its repr representation. So that means that repr needs to return something that looks like this. So I think the easiest way to do this is with an F string. So I'm going to be returning contact. And then one thing that's important, right? These are for evaluating things in F strings, but we don't just want the name, right? We want the name in quotes. And in order to add that extra set of quotes, you need to call repr on the name. And the other thing we're doing is repr of self.email, right? Because we're just getting the email and the name of the instance that we're looking at, but we do want to make sure that we get those extra quotes, which is why we have repr. These reprs, I mean. Okay. And then we see print Alice, which gives us this. So we see we have the name not in quotes and then the email in those like pointy brackets. So in order to do that, I'm going to do another F string, this time without calling repr on the name because we don't need those extra quotes. And then the email. For this last part merge, we want to make sure that we're returning a new contact instance. So know that I'm going to write contact here. And then what's the name of our new contact? It's going to be the first name and then the last name, or the first person and then the second person. And so the first person is here, and the second person is here. So that means that like person two is going to be other, right? It's going to be other. And then self is Alice, right? And so because we want Alice and Bob, we're going to do contact. And then our first parameter is going to be an F string with Alice's name. And other dot name, right? Because in this example, other is Bob. It's going to be Alice and Bob. And then we need to make sure that we are getting Alice's email. And the way to do that is just to do self.email. And what's great about this is because contact because the thing that we're returning for merge is a context instance, when we put this in like right here, it will actually like inherently call repr and give us that result that we want, right? Because we've already defined our own custom repr function for contact. Okay, that's all for part C and D of question 1. I hope that this video was helpful for you.